Hello, everyone. It is Zena Krogadal, your American Dream Makers host. So glad you can be with us this morning, and it is a beautiful morning. I have a great, amazing guest coming on, a man with a big heart and is just doing some amazing things. And so I cannot wait to bring him on. But first, I want to encourage you that if you're watching this live, to go ahead and share this out. And if you're watching on the replay, if you find value in it, please go ahead and share it out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, American Dream Makers, or Zena Krogadal. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me there too. And make sure you connect with me as well. I'd love to touch base with you and see what American dream you're living and how you got there and how you're helping others. So love to have that conversation. But first, before we get to our guests, I'm going to play our intro video. So here we go. All right, you guys, I am back. It is Zena Krogadal, and I am your American Dream Makers host. Not only can you achieve the American dream, and not only does the American dream, I believe, belongs to all of us, but you can go beyond. And my next guest here is Darren Moyer, and he lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee right now. So I met him at the Ken and Glenn show, Master Momentum, at the beginning of the year. And let me tell you, he is an amazing guy with such a big heart. So without further ado, I want to bring him on because I want to get this conversation started because he's got a lot of great things to share. So here we go. Hey, Darren, how are you?
I am great, Zena. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. It is bright and sunny here in Arizona. What's it like out there for you?
Absolutely beautiful here in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And,
we're called the scenic city for a reason. It's absolutely beautiful here.
It is really beautiful. That I was going to say, I was able to be there for a short time because I was driving through from Nashville and going to visit my grandmother in Atlanta. And so I stayed in Chattanooga for an evening, and it is a beautiful, beautiful town. How long have you been in Chattanooga for?
I moved here back in '86. My father had moved over here. He had bought a business. And, after a few years after my parents divorced, it was just time for me to move back over here with my dad. I moved over here when I was 16, and it was probably one of the best things I did. I changed my zip code. I got into a different area around different people, and that's where I really give credit to a lot of my success is just coming here.
Oh, that is awesome. So you have a family. Tell me a little bit about your family.
I have an amazing family. I was previously married, so I have a daughter that's about to turn 34 with I got 4 grandbabies. My son is 19. My wife, Elizabeth, is just amazing. We've been around the financial industry for, I don't know, over 20 years, 25, 26 years. Our son is joining us. And we are very family oriented. I love what we get to do. It's not what we have to do, but what we get to do and what we get to do together.
That's awesome. You're right. I mean, family is so important, and I think it even becomes more important the older we get, right, Darren?
Yes, most definitely.
So you've got a shirt on, says Moyer Homes, real estate kept simple. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get started with that?
Well, I've been around the financial sector, I don't know, for 30 plus years. It's really been a long time. I always had a passion for real estate. You always see, what's going on with real estate. Years ago, I met a gentleman in Middle Tennessee, about halfway between Nashville and Chattanooga. We bought a real estate company. We were building homes and renovating homes. we bought a real estate company, and I thought, hey, this is going to be cool. And we bought it in 2006, a great time to make no money in real estate. A lot of things changed. You're talking about building character quick, but we had a passion for it. It was a way to help us. It was another tool to help us get our homes moved or find property. And, some things changed. We hit some speed bumps in the road. One of the things that I probably got a PhD in is hard knocks, learning by failures. I have no problem with failing. We got out there, fast forward, my wife and I joined another company. We sold ours, we joined a company. And as we progressed, we saw a lot of things that people struggle with in real estate. Zena, you're in real estate as well, so you know what I mean. Who do you go to? You're comparing yourself to your production to other people's production. You're comparing, how you help people, how you help them get from point A to point B. And it's a very stressful time in a lot of people's lives. So real estate is a lot like building a custom home. It's tough. You're trying to make decisions and what do you do? And as we have progressed over the years, my wife and I we've been at so many conventions. We're really big on education and understanding and expanding our knowledge. She has a degree in design. She graduated. She was going to school to be an engineer, ended up with a degree in design. I was one of those that came out of high school, went to work with my father in a company that he owned, and then went into a financial sector. He was in the medical field. And anything in business is just, how do you simplify it? Because people make it difficult. Leadership makes it difficult. A lot of people script our lives. They script how we're going to do things, and then they edit how we're going to do things. And I like them. I like simplicity. And so as we've gone through the process, my wife and I were sitting having dinner one night, and I said, real estate kept simple. I said, how do we do that? How do we take them through that process? And our whole business is built on our life, our business, our family. Everything we do is built on how to keep it simple. It is so much more fun to work with our clients when they come through here and they're going, that's the easiest transaction I've ever had. And we hear it over and over and over. And as we go through that, so how do you then, what's the next level? Another one of my big things is you learn, earn, and return. So how do we've earned, but how do we return to help others that don't feel, like they're having the success in business, or maybe they're just under the wrong leadership, or maybe they've had a lot of, and I'll keep it PG-13, so I'll do the best I can, but how have they been through a lot of crap in their life and put that behind them or expose it and move forward? And so everything we do, it's not just real estate kept simple, but it's life kept simple, Zena.
Love it. Love it. What a vision and what a partnership you've had too. Like you said that you partnered up with somebody else, and it sounds like once you did that, it really, not only did you end up getting an even deeper vision, it sounds like, but having that partnership really helped to excel. Is that the case?
Yes, I am what my wife calls a serial entrepreneur. One of the biggest things she told me when we first got together, Zena, is that she said, there's only one thing that scares me about you. And I'm like, everything about me. I exposed myself, and I wanted her to know the good, the bad, the ugly. She says, you get bored and move on. And so, and I've done that. I've owned an insurance company. I've owned a mortgage company. I've owned a real estate company. And while they're all somewhat connected, and I think it was just by design that I was in those different industries, so we can simplify it for others coming through here. So we can explain the insurance, we can explain mortgages, we can explain real estate, we can explain building and development and renovations. We can explain the process of just getting there and taking that burden off. So partnering up with people across the country or locally, I learned a long time ago that it's not cool to be the smartest person in the room. I learned that it's not cool to be, that ego-driven individual. And ask me how I know. I've been there. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had some huge failures, and I'm gonna bring those out here in the next few months of really sharing people my life story, mine and my wife's life story. Some major hiccups that would devastate most. How did we rise above that? But the biggest thing is your life partner. Once you understand that you've got to invest more time in your life partner, and I've said this over and over, Zena, you're talking about partners. A lot of times people treat marriages like a business, that they go get a business license and they hang up a sign open for business. And if you don't do anything, what are you going to do? You're going to bankrupt. And marriage is the same way. And I'm not here to be a marriage counselor today, because I want to tell you, I am not that person, but I am that person that is looking to master it. And even in a marriage and then business, how do you work with someone that you live with? And what I've found over the years is you got to invest time there too. You got to make deposits, because if you continue to make withdrawals, you're going to bankrupt. And so that's one of the biggest things my wife and I do is we spend a lot of time together. How can we be better? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you sit back long enough, and I've said this for years and years, how do you find the right partners? How do you find the right people? And I had this shared with me years ago, and I follow it as, time will promote you or expose you, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's in business, so it's, as you can tell, I'm a little passionate about life.
I love it. I love it, Darren. And I love that you touched on marriage and what that looks like for entrepreneurs, because that is actually one of the main reasons my husband and I are starting up Partners to Powerhouse, which, that's a topic for another day. But it is so needed, Darren, because you are correct in that when you're running a business, your life partner, the partner that you marry to, is the biggest partnership that you're going to have in any endeavor through life, through business, and all of that. And you're correct in that you have to get that one right, or the other things that you may succeed in won't meet the maximum potential, or it won't meet the potential at all because you're just not there. So I love that you touch on that. I love that you have a passion for life. Darren, you had mentioned you had been previously married before. And so I'm hearing in your voice that you're like, okay, if I'm doing this again, I'm not doing it the same way.
That's correct. As time has progressed, but I want to touch on what you just said. When you look at the success, and people measure success by what you have, what you've done. I measure success of where you've been and where you're going. Money does not impress me. What you do with money impresses me. How you what you do to help people, because money is only going to amplify who you are. And when you're looking at that, I made a lot of mistakes back then. But truthfully, where did the programming come from? And I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me just a second. The programming that I got from my parents and all the crap that I went through as a child, and there's a lot. And I'm not going to expose it here, because I want to really frame this where people understand, because they see you where you are today, but they didn't see where you came from. And so as it went through this process over the years, I've seen that it really wasn't my fault, but it was some of the programming. But I saw that other people are living a different life, and they're happy. And I was chasing money, and I was chasing dreams. And you don't have to chase them. They're right here within you. The happiness is along the journey. It's not when I get that 9,000 square foot house I used to live in, or those nice cars that I drove, or the view of the mountains, or the cabana, or whatever. All right. Those luxury vacations, because when you get there and you're sitting there and you're not happy, you got a problem. So you got to find that happiness. So I'm very blessed. The wife I have, we've been together 27 years. She is amazing. I tell people, she graduated cum laude. I graduated thank you laude. It was just one of those things that I used to think she was real smart. I think she's a little challenged now for staying with me, because I'm just that crazy entrepreneur, she said. But I'm going to tell you where in the last 5 years, it's really been, I mean, I've been in personal development for 20 years. I didn't understand it when I was growing up with my dad, those years. But personal development has been important to me. I can show you books over here. There's all kinds of books here with all kinds of secrets in them. And it's good to have that knowledge, but if you don't apply that knowledge, it's no good. And so the last few years have really been focused on, a friend of mine shared out in Colorado, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. And I mean, and he started leaning into me on some things. And just in the last year and a half, and I want people to understand this, and I will share this part of it. I went and hired a therapist for my son and I. We have an amazing relationship. You saw us when we were in Dallas. But how can it be better? How can we communicate better? How can we really take things to another level? And then just recently we hired another executive coach. So we've got a therapist for the family. We got an executive coach for the family. And I just got off a session with them, and it's so amazing to see how much my son and I are on one level, my wife is on another. But when you layer them over together, with all these personal developments, assessments that we've had, how I cover one area, she covers one area, and he's right in the middle. Mm. And it is and it's something, what do you do? It's investing in yourself, not how can I go sell more houses? How can I sell more cars? How can I get more clients? But how can I be that better person? How can I be that better husband? How can I be that better dad? Because again, I said it, I'll say it again, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm. Oh, love it, love it, love it, Darren. That is spectacular. And you are a wise man. That's why your wife has stuck with you, because you are a wise man and that you are willing to learn. Because wisdom isn't that you just automatically have it. You got to go out and get it. You have to go out and ask for it. And you have surrounded yourself with a team that can get you there. And my friend, that is wisdom that many people do not have. And it takes an act of being humble enough to be able to do that. And not everyone has that either. That yes, we should be confident in who we are and whose we are, but we also need to be humble enough to ask for help and say, I know I can always do better. No matter what level I'm at, I can always do better. And that's why you have been successful, Darren. And thank you for sharing all of that, because I know somebody needed to hear that, because sometimes we get to the place where we're like, I can't help. I can't ask for help. Then people might think I don't know anything, and even just like when you were saying, I got a therapist for my son and I, because the response is most people would be like, well, why is that? What kind of problems you have? But here's the kicker, is that you don't have to have a problem to go seek help.
No, and listen, I'm the guy that grew up with Cliff Notes. All right, you follow me? And when I sat down with that therapist, and I think this is real important with what we're doing. You're talking about American Dream Makers. That is American Dream Makers. That's gathering that knowledge, to live the life that we were given, with purpose and passion. When I sat down with that therapist and I told him, I said, here's what I want to do. You're going to see my son. You're going to see me. We're going to see us together. And I want you to see where I've been, so how to help him. He said, well, we don't do things like that. That's not how we do it. And I said, well, that's how we're going to do it. And he said, well, we'll see. And, and the amazing part is I told him, I said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out everything that's going on in my life, not the good, just the bad. So that way you're not wasting my money over the next year and a half trying to figure out what's going on with him, to give him that, the Cliff Notes of life, or that little bit of an edge, your educational knowledge, so that you can help him quicker. And, and I wrote him 6 pages, college rule, front and back, 3 sentences, 3 lines, 3 sentences per issue. And, he looked at me and he goes, wow. I said, okay, now you know what you're dealing with. How do you help us communicate? And I'm going to tell you that the biggest thing that I've taken out of there is, and this is so important for everybody in life, was communication. But it wasn't just communication. It was unspoken expectations or premeditated resentments.
Mm.
Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. So how do we apply that in life? How do we apply that in business? We expect somebody to do something, but if we didn't ask them to do it, then we're mad at them. I mean, or disappointed, or what does that lead to? Bankruptcy. It leads to, a business failing. And so, and again, I'm not sure what people thought they were going to hear today. But, as you and I talked about, sometimes it's just organically how we get through something and share, where our passions are. But it's okay to have had issues. It's okay to expose them. It's okay to address them. And most that will see this have known me over the years, that I was probably that leader that said, hey, if you need this, you're just weak. And so you have to back up. And then as we grow, I just wish I understood more of this knowledge 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Hey, but it's not too late. At least you know now, and you're not on your deathbed, or even beyond, right? So
Amen. Amen. I can share this with my son, and he has something to take with him to really, lead a life of just wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And your son, oh my goodness. Hi, Liliana. So good to see you. Thanks for being here. Great morning. Yes, I'm glad you're having a great morning. It has been a really blessed morning. So when I got to meet you and your son, and it was a very sweet vision to see a father and a son coming to a conference like that Ken and Glenn put on is phenomenal, because the reality is that most young men do not want to be hanging out with their fathers, and especially going to a business conference, right? That's not usually where young men are thinking they want to be at. But yet your son was all in. Like when I, kind of would look around the room and stuff, he was not on his phone and, texting and doing that thing. He was paying attention. He was really absorbing it in. And I do believe that, yes, it's because you have set a great example for him, for one. And two, you have worked on building that relationship with him from the time he was young into now. So tell me a little bit about, that was in January. Now we're in May. Tell me a little bit about how that has helped you both since that conference in January.
Well, Ken and Glenn are two amazing people, and I will tell you, it's hard to keep my attention because I've been around so many meetings. I've been around so many people, and they really brought real life, organic, straight to you. And it's just another one of those experiences. I'm glad I had my son there. It wasn't planned. This was just a last minute. A friend of mine invited me, and, because of something that happened in November when my son made a comment to me, I started leaning in even more. And again, I really want to say it, but I don't want to take the thunder away from this, what we're about to share. But it made me more consciously aware of, your kids are not going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do. And whether it's good or bad, and some realize it. Having him, we've taken him for years, and I have been on stage for years, and I don't know, I probably took the last 5-6 years off, and really kind of enjoyed more family time. And it wasn't because of COVID. It was it was before COVID hit. I decided that I want to be home more. I want to, spend more time with him. He was finishing up high school. All those other meetings that we've taken him to, it's just a stepping stone for him. And he can communicate better with adults than he does people his own age. However, there were pieces of that meeting that we took away. There were some big points that I was able to share with him that I've never heard. And, and I think I've just about heard everything. I've been to meetings after you name it. I've seen them, read their books. But Glenn said something that was so impactful. And my son, it was one of my son's big takeaways. It's because we hear it's not what you know. It's not, and we say it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? But there's another step that he added to that. It's not what you know, it's not who you know, but who knows you. And I've been a networker for many years, and I never thought of it that way, because I'm thinking, well, if I know Zena, then who do I get to meet? I get to meet Ken and Glenn. I get to meet, Patricia. It doesn't matter. So many different names, it's just, I don't know who you know. And so we get through there. And Nick, I love him. I've seen what he's been through. You're talking about an inspiration. I saw he just popped up on the screen. So there's people that you get to meet, that really are going to inspire you. And that's the biggest thing is with him. And he knows I'm not into motivation. I don't want to make you feel good about being broke and you go home and don't do anything. But I want to inspire you for the crap that I've been through so that you can go make a change if you want to. But how important is that to do with the younger generation? How many of them bring their kids to these or these young adults? And I've been taking him since he was just a little guy. How many of them are taking them to those experiences to see what life is about? And then all of a sudden, boom, now they spent 20, 25, 30 years, going, well, wow, I wish my dad would just have said that. Or I wish my dad or my mom would have taken me there. Where's he at 19 years old? Incredible. There's so many good points. I mean, he took notes. I mean, he was upset because he walked out there without his journal that he was writing all of his notes, and we had to go find it, and Glenn had it, thank God. But he took pages and pages and pages of notes that really had an impact. And I don't know, maybe you want to do a podcast with him, because I mean, it's amazing to see his energy, his love for life. Our executive coach just did a breakdown on us, and it was amazing. I don't even know how to put it into words.
I would love to have him on the podcast for sure, because I tell you what, he absolutely gives hope for the young generation coming up, the new leaders that will be coming out. And Darren, that is fantastic. I appreciate you sharing all of that so much, because that was an incredible conference for sure. And next time Ken and Glenn has another conference, I definitely encourage those that can make it really should. Darren, I do want to switch gears just a little bit. And hi, Nick. Yes, love that you are here. And what a miracle that you are still with us. And we're so grateful and so thankful. Darren, you've the last few weeks, you've had some things going on as well. So can you tell us, a little bit about that and what that has done for you recently?
You're going to get me emotional here. We say it's the books that you read and the people you meet that change your life. Times and events. And I said I wasn't going to get emotional. I used to be the hardest guy, S on the chest, but life has been a little bit of life's events have been like kryptonite. It's going to make you come down just a minute, but it's a reset button. And people, some of my best friends today are people that I've met through events. Wonderful people like yourself. I remember the conversation that you and I had in the hallway in Dallas, and it was, you knew it was real. It was the energy. There's going to be certain people in your life that's going to impact. One of my former partners, I just spent the last 3 days. I just spent the last 3 days in the hospital with him. 52 years old, diagnosed with cancer, 2 kids. One of the most amazing guys in the world. And when I say former partners, not because we had a nasty breakup, is because I was traveling. We were, it was in Middle Tennessee where we owned a real estate company. Of course, we sold that, and we built houses and renovated and bought and sold and all that. I walked away from that to be home with my son because I knew how important it was for. I enjoyed growing up with my dad in business, and I didn't want to miss anything with my son. However, that relationship never ended. That gentleman and I have been through some storms. I'm talking about some storms, and I'm going to release those. I'm going to expose those, exactly what took place. And I see him in that hospital fighting for his girls. His two little girls are amazing. I'm talking all-American soccer players. If you'd have told me that he would have been going to watch soccer, and he's an old country boy from Middle Tennessee, I would have said no way. Now but I don't want to take away anything from him. I mean, he went to school for engineering, and was just a couple credits away and walked out because he was making a ton of money building houses. And I thought his mom was going to, take him out for not finishing school. An amazing mind, way smarter than me. I'm the ready, fire, aim, and he was the ABC. But I sit there and I watch him, and what's important to life. You can have an American dream. What if you didn't enjoy that journey along the way? What if you didn't have a purpose in life? So that's the emotional part about life. I lost my mom when she was 44 with cancer, and devastating. It's just, how can that happen? When I hit 44, I was freaking out. I'm 54 now. I just sent my wife, I just sent her a text when I was sitting in the hospital, and I've been with her for 27 years. I used to think Grace was just a lady's name, but I didn't know it was something that God gave us. And I sent her a text and I said, I hope I have another 27 with you. He has one of the most supportive, amazing families. And I didn't stay there to have a pat on the back. I stayed there to have that emotional experience and connecting with him, because we haven't spent a lot of time together over the last few years because everybody's busy. But I'm going to tell you, slow down. Slow down. There's a lot of little signs out here. You got those little whispers inside. You need to listen to them. And those whispers make a difference.
Oh, that words of wisdom right there, Darren. And you are so right that sometimes when we are in the middle of living the American dream, we've got all these goals to obtain and things to achieve. We've got our task list, we've got our goal set. And it's so easy to just keep plugging through, and then we forget what's really important. Because Darren, what you said is so true. Slow it down and enjoy the people, the relationships that you have. Slow down, enjoy the things that are important. We came into this world with nothing, and we're going to leave this world with nothing. So all we have is really what's in between, right? And what's in between that's so important are, you're right, the relationships that God put into us. Whispers can be loud. You're right, Liliana. Whispers can be loud. We just sometimes choose to ignore those whispers, even when they're loud, because sometimes we're like, no, I can't slow it down. I got to reach my goal. I know for me, that's how I operate. There's a task that's put in hand, and I'm like, I gotta get to it. And Darren, I love what you have been telling us, is that life is shorter than we even think. That's what I was hearing as you're saying this. Life is shorter than we even think or comprehend. I'm so glad that you are such an endearing friend to your friend. And I'm sure it means the world to him that as he's going through this really tough trial and challenge of his life, you showed up. And not only that, but because you are a busy guy, that you slowed everything down to spend it with him. That's got to mean the world to him, because sometimes we can if we don't develop relationships, and I've seen this, that you can go visit a nursing home, and it's sad because many of these folks that are in the nursing homes, they don't have visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart, and I think, how is it that they don't have visitors? But the seeds that we sow sometimes in life, really show up in the end as to what we have, right? So, wow, Darren, thank you.
Yes. So, you mentioned nursing homes, which is kind of unique, or again, that's just one of those whispers that comes out. I grew up in a nursing home with my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother, I grew up in Northeast Arkansas. My pawpaw was a rice farmer. When my parents divorced, my mom went back to Northeast Arkansas. My pawpaw died, within a year of me getting there. I was 9 years old. He was 55. My grandmother's done nothing but take care of the family. And she went back to school in her 50s, back in the 70s, and became a nurse. She was very smart, but she didn't take her career path. She chose to raise a family, and we had one of the nicest, and most people don't even know that there's that much rice in Arkansas, but they actually had the largest rice mill in the world. He was one of the best. He wasn't rich, but we were rich with love. And she ended up working in a nursing home, being a nurse there, and I spent a lot of time with her there. And I saw exactly what you said, but here's what I found. The elderly are like kids with knowledge. They just want some of your time, and they want somebody to talk to. And when you have that passion, so my two biggest passions are kids and elderly. One, because I didn't have all the attention I wanted as a kid because my parents divorced, and so that comes into part of your past. But just like you said, your whisper a few months ago, things that you want to go do, and you say, no, I got goals. But sometimes those whispers, they're like, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I didn't come from the right side of the tracks. My parents didn't love me. There's so much of that goes on, and pick whatever you want. It's out there, right? But when you slow down, you hear those whispers, and you see how passionate life is, and what these people, these elderly sitting in there, or you're whatever, and that grandmother, we're talking about in life. She passed away a year ago. She was 98 years old. She was taking one medication. Her hearing was better than a newborn baby's, and it was unfortunate. There was something just stupid that happened, and it medically, she was still working out with workout bands in her in her retirement home. But her love for life and people was the secret. Mm-hmm. Because so many of us, we chase what we think is going to make us happy. But like somebody said to me, if I gave you $10 million today, but you're going to die tomorrow, would you take it? No. So it's not really money. So what is it? It's happiness. Mm-hmm. So what brings you happiness? So that's the real American dream, is happiness.
Wow. That's deep, Darren.
Yeah.
and I'm saying it gives a whole new meaning to what abundance is, right? Because most people think abundance means money and wealth. So tell us, Darren, what does abundance mean to you?
It comes back to what I said in the very beginning. You learn, earn, and return. If we can be the example for someone, and when you hear the whole story, so it's coming out. I mean, I'm in the process of writing a book called Behind the Curtain. And there's a story that comes behind, for that. But then there's more of life that adds to it. Because sometimes you get behind the curtain, it's not what you think it is. And so we want to, and I say expose. Usually somebody hears the word expose, it means it's something bad. It's not a negative, it's a positive. If we can inspire, that's not what I meant to say. If we can inspire someone to think a little more, love a little more, express a little more, slow down a little more, rest a little more, take care of yourself. That's abundance to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love, I grew up, when I was in my younger years, I didn't have this. And so, my goal was to chase money. And once I got it, it wasn't what I thought it was. And then I just self-sabotaged my life. And now when you have it and you sit here and it's like, wow, so what really is abundance? Abundance is when you can hold those grandbabies and smile and laugh and, not worry about, do I have to eat or pay my electric bill today? It takes on a whole new meaning. It's not just the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and the big homes. I get to wake up every morning to my wife with a smile. I get to go to bed with her. I get to go have dinner with her. I get to go do business with her. I get to go, these conferences with my son. I get to go, hunting with my son. I get you follow me?
Yes.
I get. But there's a difference between I get to versus I get, because I enjoy being a giver. I'm not real good with people who are, who are getters. I'm really good with people who are givers. But those are things I get to do in life. That is my abundance. And I hope that makes sense.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you defined it, in the way that you did. And yeah, it's, when you take a look at life, for sure, it is fleeting and goes by so fast. And what we make of it, matters. And so thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, Darren. Really appreciate you jumping on here and sharing your story and sharing your life and sharing from the heart. I really appreciate sharing from the heart, because I know I'm with you. I'm the same way. It takes a lot for me to get emotional. But when it hits, it hits. And then I'm like, what's that? What's that feeling? Like, it feels so awkward for me. But it's good. It's very cleansing. It's a good thing. And you are a man of big heart. And I'd love to absolutely get to know you even better, and love to even meet your wife, got to meet your son, love to meet your family one of these days for sure, because I think you're very inspiring and you have so much to offer so many people. And so just keep at it. So before we close up, Darren, tell us, you want to leave us with one more thing, anything that's on your heart, on your mind?
I've put a lot out there, and there's, sometimes I take notes. I really don't like going off of notes, because a lot of times I get in here and I start talking and it goes a different direction. And that's because of the whisper that's given to us. It's things that are triggered. We've got to listen to ourselves. That's one of the biggest things in life is, and don't give up. There's so much knowledge out here that we have access today, that if you can't afford a therapist or you can't afford an executive coach, don't be one of those, guru junkies, but sift and sort. I get paid to sift and sort. I've been paid to sift and sort for years, whether it's people or business or opportunities or contracts, whatever, and enjoy. And one of the things that I've learned is, just because I can don't mean I should. You weigh it out. Do I really need it? Do I really want it? What is important? And sit down and write it out. Make a list, because here's what's going to happen. That list is going to change as you develop. It's going to change. I'm not the same person. Matter of fact, my wife told me several weeks ago, she goes, I wish I'd have married this man 20 years ago, or was 24 years ago. And I was like, well, what was wrong with me then? I wouldn't change a thing. And here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I want to end it with this. I wouldn't change a thing. I was sitting in that meeting with Ken and Glenn, and he said something, and I don't remember which one it was. And I had made a comment on Facebook, to a friend of mine. He said, if you could go back and change anything, if you go back to high school for 10 minutes and change anything, what would you change? And I said, oh, Lord, I'd tell them this, guard your heart, because everything in life flows through it. There's a verse in the Bible. You can go and read it. Guard your heart. And I went back. I was sitting in that class, and I went back to Facebook right then, and I deleted it. Because I wouldn't change nothing. And when you find out all the crap that I've been through, when I release, behind the curtain, it made me who I am today. Mm-hmm. Would I have met you? Who knows? Mm-hmm. Would I have met, Ken and Glenn and all the amazing people there at that meeting that day and all the other meetings prior to? It's just been a stepping stone to get me where I am. It happened the way it happened because it was supposed to happen that way. Embrace it and just go live your best life.
Awesome. Just like the verse that says, count it all joy for the various trials you are about to endure. Not if you're going to endure, you're about to endure, because it produces patience, and patience will produce steadfastness, which will perfect you so that you're lacking nothing. And when you come to realize that, just as what you just said, you've come on the other side of these storms and you've realized God has perfected me so that I'm lacking nothing. That means I would change nothing, because I wouldn't be the man I am today. Amen. Had those things not occurred, and had those people not been in my life, and had all those things. When you think about it, it's like, that's who shaped the Darren Moyer today. That is who your wife is in love with today. And thank God you are a different man today than the day she married you. And you'll be a different man the day that you leave this earth, and she's going to love you even more. And that's the way it should be, is that we fall in love more and more with each other as time goes on, because we are getting better and better, because together we are bringing out the best in each other. And our relationships, not only with our spouses, but with our friendships, bring out the best in us. Darren, you are a wise man, my friend. I am so blessed to know you. Thank you again so much for being on American Dream Makers. You guys, he is absolutely an American dream maker. Please make sure you reach out to Darren Moyer. He is on social media, and you can find him, or you can message me if you can't locate him. I'll get you connected, because he's a man that you definitely want to spend some time with, because as you can hear, he's got some wisdom to share. So thank you once again, Darren.
Thank you for letting me share my story.
All right. We will talk to you later.
Bye for now.
Thank you guys so much for being here on American Dream Makers. Wow, what an episode. So if you are watching this on the replay, please go ahead and share this out. What an amazing, amazing piece of wisdom. You guys, life is short. Absolutely embrace the things that are important. The real American dream is not what you think. So go out and get the American dream and live it to the best. And God bless you all, and we will see you next time.